it does stay with you. Right? Just the stuff that you see.
How do you deal with the beast?
Because I am so self-aware of the beast. You are always fearing the worst. As I'm sure you experience it and you experience it because, we're cops. You go to the grocery store and, while everyone's just buying their own business, you're like looking around, or wherever you go to a restaurant and what do? You take the chair that's against the wall so you can look out. Because you're paranoid and, and we see it all the time, So yeah, it has in many ways taken its toll.
Legendary police work. Who are those men and women behind the scenes that faithfully serve you and I and our community? We have the pleasure of speaking with Confessor Gonzalez. How are you, sir?
Hey, buddy, how are you?
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I am Robert Asencio, and I have my colleague and co-host, retired police chief, military historian, David Magnusson. What's up, brother?
Doing great with two good friends.
I'm sitting here, and I'm thinking, this man has paid over his 40 years of law enforcement. 40 years, right?
44.
40. Who's counting? It's paid an immense price. And brother, I know you're humble and you're not gonna admit to the prices paid. You paid, a toll is taken on you and your family. So I'm gonna tell you, thank you. But share with us what all those cases have done, how this changed you, better yet, how it's changed you.
Well, I tell you, most cops are not open about their PTSD, but you do. I have it. I'm aware of it. I handle it well. But I do suffer from a certain amount of paranoia.
How could you not?
I mean, I have seen the worst, and the irony about this, right? As a kid, I was so scared of dead bodies. I would not go to a viewing because if I saw a dead body in a coffin, my older brothers, I was the runt of the litter, so I had older brothers, and that's why they call me Chiquiti, which is like Chiqui, which is Chiquito. So they would tell me, "Oh man, that man is gonna come and get you when you're sleeping and take your tongue out." So so I was like, if a family member died or a neighbor, and my mom went to the viewing, and then she would have to take the kids because she couldn't leave them home alone, and it's always traumatic. So I never ever wanted to do that, and here I am now. And then a man with a name like Confessor, which is the name. My mom was very religious, very spiritual, and gave her kids spiritual names. I got stuck with Confessor. Working in homicide, but the things that I dealt with, yeah, they have. And then I was involved in a few police shootings myself. One where I actually, it's to the grace of God that I'm here. I was practically ambushed by my own stupidity. So it does take a toll. And as anyone that has worked long hours, and I'm sure you experienced it, Mag, and you as well. My son Michael's 16th birthday, I had a party for him. A house full of people got called in for a triple homicide in Little Haiti. There goes the family. So, who you try to be there for your children. I tried to be a good father because I grew up without a father. So it's important to me to be there for my children. And thank God I developed great relationships with them. We're great friends. And they're my life. But it does stay with you. Just the stuff that you see. So how do
you deal with the beast?
Yeah, it's like I'm not an alcoholic, but I do enjoy, every now and then sitting in my backyard, drinking a scotch and smoking a Cuban cigar. Sometimes I'm blessed that I'm able to do it with my older son, who's also a cop with the city of Miami, Eric. And that does relax me. And, because I am so self-aware of the beast, I'm able to handle it. So I can go out there and do all this counseling stuff, but they're going to tell me what I already know. Um, but yeah, you are always fearing the worst. As you, I'm sure you experience it and you experience it because we're cops. You go to the grocery store, and while everyone's just minding their own business, you're like looking around, or wherever you go to a restaurant, and what do? You take the chair that's against the wall so you can look out
Look out.
because you're paranoid, and we see it all the time. So yeah, it has in many ways taken its toll, taken my hair, so, um, and continues to because I'm still in the game. Although for a different agency now doing different things.
Their gain, their gain.
Yeah.
I tell you, Florida
Yeah.
still continues to gain from your experience and professionalism, devotion.
But yeah, I mean, again, I told you a story earlier about that case that where the father stabbed the son, and that was one case that really, I remember Baby Lollipops. When Baby Lollipops was killed, my son Michael, again, you always become so protective of your children. It's about the same age, and it's like seeing that, and you cannot help but to relate. And you work so hard, and Miami Beach did an excellent job with
Jay
that
Joseph,
case.
right?
And we learned that it actually happened in the city, and the body was left in Miami Beach, but Miami Beach ended up working it, and they did a great job. We helped them peripherally, but they did an amazing job in solving that case and bringing that lady, that monster, like I call her, to justice, because we all try to be politically correct, but anyone that harms a kid,
Especially the way that they tortured that child.
yes, and those are things that we live because you're there, you see it. And as we all know, and we discussed earlier, seeing a child that's been murdered, and sometimes, gosh, I remember Lazaro 2. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that case. Another child.
You?
A child was left in Little Havana with a caretaker, and she would abuse him, and she would beat him. And what she did was she killed him, and then she buried him in a shallow grave over by like Northwest 12th Street and 7th Avenue, and she actually bound him and buried him in a shallow grave, and then she went home and reported him missing. Eddie Martinez, who was a great homicide investigator, had that case. He didn't buy it. He worked it, and he broke her, and she actually took him to where the body was buried. Dr. Joe Davis, rest in peace, was an amazing doctor. Emmy doctor determined that the child was still alive when he was buried. So again, you have that, you have Baby Lollipops, and you have so many others. So yeah, and you deal with on and on. I mean, countless, and so you learn to block it out, but you never really do. So.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
I mean, it's a whole library of memories, and not all good memories. I mean, there's a reward when you solve the crime, for sure. But that's it stays with you. It has to. You're still remembering names and stuff to this day. I mean, it stays with, especially with children. And I suspect I can speak for all homicide detectives in the country, South Florida for sure, the county and what they dealt with as well, and sexual battery detectives. And that's why I've said that in previous shows. I did robbery was my forte and narcotics. Okay, I wouldn't. I don't know with the patients or stuff. It takes a special person to work the sexual battery and homicide.
For sure.
Yeah.
Those were the cases that bothered me the
Yes.
most. The sex cases against the children and the elderly.
You hear a lot. Police officers, they're big into jokes, and sometimes jokes at the wrong time. But that's how we deal with, and you learn.
You said it earlier. Dehumanize.
Yes.
Gallows humor.
The incident is not. What was it? Gallows humor.
Gallows humor.
Yeah.
I remember I had a homicide, and not that it's funny. I'm not laughing. I over by Northeast. I remember the location, like one court in 13th Street had a body inside a house and had been stabbed, and I was doing the crime scene, and I remember it was a long day, it was hot, and I was starving, and someone brought me, hamburger, fries, and the Coke, and right in there, I sat down, and I ate. Didn't bother me a bit. You know, looking back, I don't know if I'll do it now, but like, that's how it was.
Yeah.
It became a matter of fact that, and
Desensitized.
yes, you do. Um, and as you get older, I look back now, and it goes back to the story that I told you earlier on of we covered that on the air or not about the lady who stabbed her son.
No, we have not.
She stabbed the son and killed him. He was only 12 years old, and I'm interviewing the father, and it was very hard. And the father started to cry, and I started to cry, and I lost it. And my sergeant walked into the office. He wanted to know what's going on, and I got tears coming down my face. I lost it. And I apologized to the sergeant. Hey, Sarge, I'm sorry, I lost it. And he said, no, Confessor, don't worry. You didn't lose it. Be glad you still have it.
Yeah.
And that was like a shock to me because he made me realize it's okay to be human. It's okay. It's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel the pain. And those words made a big difference to me for the rest of my career, and I think helped me in deals. So, yeah, it's not okay. Like I tell people when I would teach classes of young officers, listen, when I go to a scene, and there's a decomposed body, and the scene doesn't smell well, I don't like it. I says, I don't feel comfortable touching dead people. That's not something that becomes normal. And I make sure of that. I don't feel comfortable watching tragedy, and I make sure of that. And that goes as a result of that conversation with our sergeant that day. And so through that, I've been able to keep that human side, that human touch to make sure I never lose it. So, today, if I respond to a scene and there's a dead body in the back room, if I don't need to go back there and look at it, I don't. If I'm not required to, if I'm not the lead investigator, I'm a supervisor now in my new position with FDLE. So when I respond to a scene, I am no longer really have to be hands-on unless I need to. So I avoid. I avoid it, and I kind of reverted back to when I was a kid. If I have to, I do. It's part of the job. But if someone else can do it, I'll delegate it.
Yeah.
So, and so that's how you learn to deal with the.
So we're hearing immense wisdom and experience, right? And for our brothers and sisters out there who are experiencing the challenge of the job and the difficulties of what they see emotionally and personally, what would be your advice to them? How best to deal with it?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, we always need someone that we're able to talk to, whether it's your spouse, whether it's a good friend, whether it's a sibling, whether it's whoever. We need to be able to do that. I am lucky. Again, I have 3 beautiful children who I can talk to. In particular, my older son is a police officer, Eric Gonzalez. He's a major with the city of Miami. And we're very good friends, and we spend a lot of time together, and we're able to talk to each other. And that's my kind of my scapegoat, so to speak, at times if I'm got something bottled up in me. But accept what's going on. Don't deny it. Don't go into denial. What is it that you're feeling? And if you have to seek professional help, it's okay. Cops, we're so tough. We have to be, because no matter what, as the 3 of us know here, all the problems come to us. We're expected to solve them, and not have any feelings about it. But it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to tell yourself, man, that bothers me. It's okay to tell yourself, man, I don't like that. I don't want to be at this scene. I really feel uncomfortable about it. Man, I really need to vent. Let me call someone, whether you want to call your spouse on the phone, hey, sweetheart, I'm at this scene and I'm dealing with this, man, it's horrible, and or your whoever. But sometimes is finding some kind of support. We all need it. And I think, if we feel down and depressed, we need to talk to someone. Letting it eat you up is not the answer. And being that tough cop, because we use the word macho man, but there are many women officers out there who are just as tough and who endure just as tough, and who, just like any male counterpart, just don't let it out. because they're tough and they feel they're tough, just like men do. And so I think it's something that is common with some officers, and we need to be able to, yeah, to reach out, to talk, to vent, but more importantly, admit it to yourself. You know, um, being depressed. I tell people I'm not a psychologist, but being depressed is perfectly normal. Is why are you depressed? If you have a bad experience in your life, you lost a loved one or a pet or something happened that you're depressed, that's human nature. That's your body reacting to the event. Now you have nothing going on in your life and everything's fine and you're depressed, then there's a problem.
Yeah.
So that's I kind of differentiate one from the other, but they're both just as bad.
For sure. Great words, great advice. David, last thoughts here?
Well, listening to Confessor, it's a humanistic approach to solving homicides. Think of that for a minute. The way he is, and I know the sergeant you're talking about and what you have in common with that sergeant, very kind, able to listen and to talk to that person, Tommy. Just good people. And you know what? That's something hopefully gets even more and more contagious throughout all law enforcement. You know, that sort of approach.
Definitely. And to your point about the women, our sisters who are behind the badge or working out there, sometimes they even have it worse than men because most of them are children, families, you know, and then there's a responsibility that they carry that maybe we don't share as much. And, you know, so we have to be cognizant of the impact to them, and support, peer support is very much needed. I think it's key to providing better outcomes for people who are in high liability, high impact, high, I don't know, emotional experiencing traumatic jobs.
You know, it's a supervisor. I have a female officer working for me. I'm always very considerate because, again, like you mentioned, I get home now, I go back, grab the control, and start watching TV. Um, I remember back when my younger days, when I first got married and my kids were little, my wife would just get up in the morning, get the kids ready for school, make them breakfast, go to work. No, take them to the babysitter or school, go to work, come back, pick up the kids, come back home, cook, clean, you know. And there are many officers out there that deal with the same thing. You know, they have to come to work, but when they get home, their spouses don't have the pressure that they do of having to now look out and get the kids ready for bed and all that good stuff. So it's a good point, Robert, that you brought up.
For sure. I mean, and just from experience. On that note, Confessor, my friend Jiggy, thank you. We hope we can bring you back to dive into more of the experiences, and not just to share war stories, but to show those that will follow, those that have been there, that there's light at the end of the tunnel, if you will, that it's not all bad, that our careers can be, you know, rewarding long beyond the time we spend on the job. And for those that are struggling on the job, that there's help for them.
Absolutely.
I will say to the community news team, Grant, Michael Miller, Miller Brothers, Miami's Community News Network, Daniela Quevedo, behind the scenes, we can't thank you enough. We look forward to speaking with you in the next show. You can find us on all podcast platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Apple, Amazon, iHeart, and of course the betsandbadges.com website. Look forward to speaking with you. See you next time. Thank you.